Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to Monday, the 8th of February's literacy lesson. Right, so the first thing that you are going to need this morning from your packs is your book, your literacy book, your literacy home learning. I'll just show you this, your literacy home learning pack, and then this is the initial discovery report of Pacific Research Expedition 48. Okay, explain a little bit more about that in a minute. So make sure you've got those to hand, and then make sure that you've written the date, Monday the 8th of February, and the learning objective to draw and label a new species of animal. Okay, pause the video while you do those things. Right then, okay, so you're probably wondering why you have a research expedition report in front of you today. So the first thing that I'm going to need to do is just explain this to you, and then I'd like you to read most of it. So this is the report of a research expedition 48. As you can see, the expedition leader is a man called Sir Daniel Redbridge, and then each of these teams have a leader, which are listed on the front. So we've got a geographical team, a zoological team, and a marine biologist team. So a geographical team is, their responsibility would be to map the island and state its geographical features, waterfalls, forests, and so on. Zoology is the study of different animals, so zoology would take very much the animals and the wildlife on the island, and then the marine biologists will take the animals in the sea. Okay, right, so as you can see, the discovery report is here. This is the first page. So this is a discovery report about a new island that was discovered in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, and the island was named Leopetia. These are the coordinates of the island, and the discovery team name was the Pacific Research Expedition 48, and the date was the 8th of February 2021. Okay, fortunately that's today's date. So you are going to be part of this expedition as your week's worth of learning this week in literacy, and for a very good reason. So just here there's a few notes on the island's flora. So flora is the Latin name for plants. So the island is mainly covered in tropical jungle, kapok trees, rubber trees and ramon trees. Species have been observed so far. Remember, this is just the initial report, so it's not the full report. And then throughout the overgrowth are strangler figs, mainly observed along the forest floor. So they're an invasive species that grow up trees. And then palm trees have been observed on the beaches. So the island's fauna are as follows. So fauna is the Latin name for animals. So you've got the howler monkeys, capuchins and peccary pigs that have been observed. Several different species of rainforest frogs, unconfirmed as to which ones, and urgent attentions for an unknown aggressive marine reptile has been observed, an unknown very territorial large bird has been observed, an unknown fast land-dwelling reptile has been observed, and an unknown large, very aggressive sea-dwelling fish/mammal has been observed. Interesting on that last one. So there are 4 unconfirmed new possible species. One is very fast but non-aggressive, one is extremely territorial, proceed with caution, and 2 are very aggressive to humans and with a danger to life, proceed only if fully prepared and fully necessary. So your job this week is that you are going to pick one of these unconfirmed species, and that's our learning objective today, is to draw and label one of these unconfirmed species of animals found on the island of Leopetia. Okay, so getting on to this then. So this is the geographical team report. So the vegetation is mainly tropical jungle trees. Ramon tree, rubber tree and enormous kapok trees are the most common species that make up the canopy. There is an invasive Asian strangler fig vine, and that's the most common plant amongst the undergrowth, meaning travel through the jungle is slow and laboured. Tropical palm trees are extremely common along the shorelines as well. So beaches are mainly white, sand and clear, and there are a number of bays along the coastline, some sheltered from the waves and the currents, and some are open and rocky. Now, Tropical palm trees are extremely common along the shorelines and make up 80% of the beach jungle. Now that's just a few quick notes about the geography of the island as well. We'll come back to that at a later date. So the zoological team report. The zoological team have reported an unknown aggressive marine reptile. So while the zoological team were assembling a bird hide to observe the different species of seabirds, they discovered several aggressive but slow-moving reptiles on the rocky parts of the beach. The reptile camouflages extremely well with the wet sand and the rocks, but are more easily noticed on the whiter and drier sand. Reptile is slow-moving on land but has a poisonous bite. One member sustained serious and rapid blood poisoning. Okay, so on the next page we can see the next report is about an unknown, very territorial large bird. Oh, I should mention the pictures of where the marine reptile was observed. Here is where the large bird has been observed. So when the geological team were exploring the bottom of the cliffs for possible cave entrances, they were attacked by a number of large birds of an unknown species. The birds only attacked when the team's boats were within 50 metres of the nesting sites. So where would those nesting sites be on that picture? Possibly high up as their birds, high up on the cliffs. 3 members have sustained minor injuries, lacerations, which is a scientific word for cuts, and puncture wounds to the arms, face and torso. So puncture wounds like a stab wound. So if you think birds often would have really sharp talons, really sharp claws, they've provided puncture wounds to the arms, face and torso of these people. 1 member sustained major injuries, lacerations and puncture wounds to the arms, face and torso, and a severed carotid artery and major blood loss. So that's an artery in the neck. Okay, no casualties though, so he survived, so hasn't been killed by this creature. So carrying on, an unknown fast land-dwelling reptile has been observed. So members of several teams have reported very brief sightings of a medium-sized reptile throughout the jungle and close to the beaches. Sightings have been brief due to the animal's great speed. High frame resolution video will be needed to observe the animal. Not very much information about that one, but then again here is where the last confirmed sighting of such creature. The last one, again with this picture being here, an unknown, large, very aggressive sea-dwelling creature. So on the second day on the island, the marine biology team explored the northern coastline and we lost radio contact. After several hours of no contact, we sent the geological team on the main boat to the site of the last reported contact. So we sent the geological team to find where they were, basically. The geological team reported turbulent waters, so lots of waves, compared to other areas of the island, and had to alter their course for fear of beaching the main boat. So there's so many waves it was pushing it towards the shore, so they had to change course and go to where there were less waves. While changing course, the team reported a loud scraping noise and several jolts coming from the bottom of the ship. The geographical team went to shore and returned to the marine biologist research site on the beach. The research station was set up and operational. Washed up on the shore was remains of one of the dinghies aboard the research vessel, with several unusual puncture marks. Further along the beach were remains of more scientific analysing gear the marine biologist used, all damaged beyond repair. Finally, a hand severed just below the elbow was recovered from the site. The tissue damage indicates a large creature with serrated teeth severed the arm. Sadly and worryingly, no other evidence of the marine biologist team has been found. So they've all been declared as casualties there, which means that they are either missing or presumed dead. Okay? Now, very, very interesting, this large unknown sea-dwelling creature. So this is the captain's report on the ship. So this was the damage to the stern side of the ship and damage to the port side. They're just directions on the boat. So you can see that an animal is clearly made very large and quite aggressive markings and has damaged this boat quite badly here. So the ship has sustained damage to the stern and port side. No rocks or coral showed on the ship's sonar and navigational computers, so this wasn't caused by rocks or coral reef. Diagnostics have shown the sonar and navigational computers to be fully functional. So that basically means that the computers were working properly. And so that rules out rocks and coral. Structural damage and breaching of the hull just above the waterline on the port side appears to have been caused by something extremely sharp and strong. The ship has not taken on significant water, but there's a significant risk of listing, that's when a ship starts swaying from side to side, and capsizing, so that's if a ship completely sinks, if there is further turbulent weather. Work has been carried out to repair and strengthen the hull, estimated completion 6 days. So that is the full report. Now, you'll need this report today and tomorrow because it's got several different bits of things that you can use. So today's learning objective, and if you haven't already written it, write it now, is to draw and label a new species of animal. Okay, so this in the middle of the Pacific Ocean is the new, never before visited island, so we call that Uncharted, and it's about 1,000 kilometres east of French Polynesia. They've named the island Leopitia. As the island is located close to the equator, it is covered in tropical jungle and surrounded by surprisingly cool yet turbulent waters. There are lots of waves. So you are going to be one of the first people to explore the island. You are one of these people who are part of the teams, and you've encountered the scientific jackpot. You've discovered a new species of animal. Okay? So the purpose of this week's learning is to write about the discovery of a new species of animal which inhabits the island of Leopitia. That's why you need the report. You need to make sure what you write and draw matches the locations given on the pictures and in some cases the descriptions that have been given about each animal so far. The audience that we're writing for, again, like last week's work, is the world's scientific community, specifically biologists, zoologists and marine biologists. So the formality, so that's the tone of the writing, so the language that needs to be used needs to be formal with a clear explanation and a heavy use of scientifically accurate description. So we're going to use lots of scientific words this week. The text type we are going to be presenting our information as is a non-chronological report, similar to last week. Okay? Right, so what we're going to have a look at is something called anatomical observation of the new species. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to draw it. So here are the species that I've put here. So the fast land-dwelling reptile. Well, if you choose this one, okay, because you need to choose one of the four, then you've got to remember reptiles have scales, 4 limbs, and usually sharp claws. So you could have more than 4 limbs, but not less. If it's fast, because it is very fast, what would it need to make it fast? So what are you going to draw that makes it so fast? It would probably have a streamlined body, so it'd be very skinny, maybe have long legs as well. Does it have anything unique about it, unique adaptations? So what makes it quick, and does it camouflage well? Does it hunt for things? Okay. So large territorial birds. Well, birds have to have feathers, beaks and talons. Talons are another name for a bird's claws. This is a large bird that flies. Right. So the larger the bird, the larger the wings usually. The heavier the bird, the larger the wings as well. So also, the report said that several people were injured, so this bird is capable of causing quite significant damage to people. So that's what you need to consider when you're drawing it. And then again, does it have any unique features? Is it fast flying? Does it have deadlier than normal talons? So maybe rock encrusted talons to make them extra sharp. Does it have extra limbs? Okay. The next one, the aggressive marine reptile. This is the one that I've chosen to do for my drawing. I'll show you in a minute. Again, scales, 4 limbs at least, and usually sharp claws. And the report mentions about them being good at camouflaging on the beach with the rocks. Okay, so you need to consider that. They're slow moving on land, but how do they move in the sea? Again, poisonous bite. So how is that? How are you going to portray a poisonous bite? A marine means it goes in the sea often, so how is it adapted for this? Does it have any unique adaptations as well? So anything in its mouth to make it poisonous, sharper teeth, things to swim in and eat in salt water, for example. Now the last one. This is by far the hardest one to do. So if you are looking for a challenge this morning, I would definitely do this one. So this is the large, very aggressive sea-dwelling creature. So you notice I've not called it a marine mammal or a marine fish. Well, not that you can have a fish anywhere else. I've just said sea-dwelling creature. So this one is the challenge. This could be a hybrid. So what I mean by a hybrid is a mixture of two animals, like a shark and an ape, a dolphin or a boar, a bear and a shark, or a lion and a shark. Something capable of punching a hole through a boat and causing this massive amount of damage to the ship. Okay, that's what you've got to think about when you're designing that. Okay, so it's good at going undetected. It didn't show up on sonar, but sonar is a series of beeps that are very high pitched, so it could have annoyed this animal to the point where it attacked the ship. Okay. Also, this could be because it's territorial. It caused the ship was in its territory, so it attacked it. It's got large serrated teeth because of the severed arm, and then it would have to be a big creature in order to do that much damage to the ship. It can survive underwater because nobody saw it on the surface, but could it also survive on land? The other thing that the report mentioned as well is about the waves being more turbulent than usual. So could that be a hunting method of it? Could it have an adaptation that means it can make extremely large waves to batter its prey against the shoreline, then eat them, or stun the prey? Okay, right. So again, here's if you're wanting something that's not too hard to do, a fast-dwelling land reptile is the one for you. Trickier to research would be the aggressive marine reptile, and then the very territorial large bird, and the hardest, as I mentioned before, is the sea-dwelling creature. So pick one of those, and then just going to switch to this. What you need to do is you need to give it a title. So I've called mine the Leopitian Sand Chameleon for reasons that you'll see later, and then draw your reptile. Now, don't worry if you are thinking, oh, I don't know how to draw anything, because at the back of your home learning booklet, this thing here, there are some bit of inspiration. So if you're doing the bird, there are all different shapes of bird heads there, and then wingspans. Okay, there's some birds' feet as well. If you're doing the reptile, there's different reptiles' legs and heads there. And then if you're doing sharks, I've just kind of put, or predatory fish I put different kinds of sharks there and different kinds of shark teeth as well. So have a good look at those for the ones that you need. All right. Pause the video while you do your drawing. Well, actually, no, don't pause the video while you do your drawing. So you can just have to do your drawing in a second. Once you've done your drawing, you need to label it. Now, we need to use scientific labels, so we need to label each part of the animal and give a short description of it. So that could include scientific and formal language. So the example I've given is large, sharp talons for puncturing tough skin and gripping prey, preventing it from escaping. Talons appear to be shed and are encrusted with rocks, adding to their sharpness. So shed means that they get rid of them every now and again. Ooh. So I'm going to go back to this. So this is my Leopitian sand chameleon. Now you mentioned about this. So this is the marine reptile that was very slow moving, but it camouflaged very well, didn't it? And that's why I've called it a sand chameleon, because my reptile, I'm going to make a small label off it there, and I'm going to put it chameleon skin. Okay, I'm going to underline that. So the sand chameleon's skin changes colour to match its environment meaning it is easily camouflaged anywhere. Camouflaged is an awkward word to write, so it's CAMOUFLAGED. So it's easily camouflaged both on land and in water. Now, okay, so that's its chameleon skin. I don't actually know the scientific word. I probably should look that up, really, shouldn't I? So, scientific name for skin that changes colour. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Oh, melanophore, I think. Oh, no, maybe not. Let's put chameleons there. Chromatophores, there we go. Right, so instead of it being chameleon skin, let's cross that out. Chromatophoric skin would be the way forward for that, and that just means it changes colour to match its environment. Right, so you'll notice about this, it's obviously it's got the scorpion tail there. So there's a couple of ways that this poisons things. So I'm going to call this scorpion-like tail. So this is obviously something that you wouldn't see. So this is a little me hybridizing a little bit. Scorpion is an insect and this is a reptile, so it's something unusual. Okay, so this is the scorpion here, and this slight tail, so it would be... You're going to have to come back later. Sorry about that, somebody just walked in halfway through a video, didn't read the sign on the door. Right, so extremely sharp needle-like sting, which delivers poison to its prey. Okay, so the last one that I'll do is, of course, its teeth. So long, thin, needle-like teeth, which deliver poison to prey when it bites them. Okay, right, so time for you to get on with yours. What you need to do now, okay, is you need to draw your, well, first you need to think of a name, or if you're struggling to think of a name, leave it till last. Then you need to draw your animal and label it with scientific labels, okay? I'll leave that scientific label on for you, and thank you, Year 6, and I will see you tomorrow.